Okay. Get to teaching.
Okay.
Do I need to pass the plate?
Wait a minute, it says stop.
Before we get started.
Okay, I think I'm recording. All right, so this morning, Isaac, child of promise. God's covenant with Abraham continued through his son Isaac. So we learned last week, Abraham tried to take things in his own hands. He tried to force God's hand to provide that heir. Sarah didn't help in that situation. Then she blamed him. Remember all that?
I love her.
All right. So, I mean, it's just our human nature. That's just, could we say we would have acted differently? We would hope we would, but
I wouldn't have let my husband sleep with somebody.
no. I'm just saying, like, with trying to rush God's plan. Yeah, we want what we want now. God's promised this. Let's hurry up and do it. I don't want to wait 25 more years to accomplish this.
Especially today, they didn't have that instant gratification back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So today, we really do want to.
Yeah, so our memory verse is Genesis 12:1-2. Now the Lord God said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, from your father's house, to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. So who is the seed promised to Abram?
Isaac.
Isaac's going to have Jacob. Jacob's going to be given another name, Israel. Then we're going to get the 12 tribes. Those 12 tribes you're going to hear them over and over and over. And all Jews are going to trace their ancestry through one of those tribes. So picking up in Genesis 17:1-2, when Abram was how old? 99. He's waited a long time, because when God came and told him he was going to have a promised son, he still had to wait. It didn't happen overnight. 99 years old. The Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be blameless. Now imagine God saying that to you. Walk before me and be blameless. Are we blameless? No. Remember our lesson maybe
God expects that of us.
over a month ago? Are we good? No. We want to think we are, but we're not. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the father of many nations. That's what Abraham means. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you in their generations for a what? Everlasting covenant. To be God to you and your descendants after you. Also I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger. All the land. Do you get that? Did it say part of? Did it say this little blip on the map? It says all the land of Canaan as a what? Everlasting possessions, and I will be their God. And God said to Abraham, As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is so important right here. It's not all about you, Abraham. You've got to pass your faith on. You've got to live it out, because I'm not just going to be your God. I'm going to be the God of your descendants after you. Now think of this from a family perspective. You got kids. If you never train them, if you never brought them to church, if you never introduced them to God in any way, who failed? Is it God who failed, or is it us as parents that failed? If we come along and we read through the Old Testament, especially through Moses and through Joshua, he's telling, teach your children when you stand, when you walk, when you're in your house, when you're outside. Everything's a teaching moment to the children. Even in the Jewish culture back in that time, if you go to the New Testament, think of Peter, when Peter was a fisherman. Where did he learn to fish from? His father. We think of mothers as the teacher. Okay, I homeschool my children. Yes, that's today's society. But in that society, it was the father. the father is going to take those sons. They're going to go to work with him. They're going to learn his trade. They're going to learn his business. They're going to learn his faith. Faith was not just something of, okay, let's go to the temple on Saturday. Let's go observe the Sabbath. This Jewish religion at this time, it's all encompassing. It's part of every part of your life. But that's the part of being in a relationship with God. It's not a religion. And I hate using that word because we always classify Christianity as a religion, but it's more than that. It's more because I can go to the lake religiously. You get what I'm saying? That's not a religion. That's not what I want. I want the relationship with God. All right? This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your descendants after you. Every male child among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. You know, when we read that, we kind of just know it happened, but lots of times we don't understand why. This is telling us this is a sign of the covenant. That's why it's important to the Jews all the way up into the New Testament that they're having circumcision done. This is a sign between them and God of this covenant that dates all the way back to Abraham. That's why it's such a big deal. All right? He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male child in your generation. He who is born in your house or bought with money from any foreigner who is not your descendant. So it's not just your biological children. It goes beyond that. But you see how specific this is. It's this male child is this many days old. It's very specific. He who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money must be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people, and he has broken my covenant. You see how big a deal this was. We think it's, well, gosh, why do they do that? That's barbaric, whatever. This is a sign of the covenant. Then God said to Abraham, as for Sarah, your wife, you shall not call her Sarah. Sarah, I guess I say that the same way. Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And this is a big deal too. And we don't always see that because most of the time when God changes a name, it's a man. But here he's changing her name too. And one day we're going to get a new name. If you read Revelation at the end of chapter 3, you're going to get a white stone and a new name. And that white stone is your pardon. That's what that meant in ancient times if you were given a white stone. And I will bless her, and I will give you a son by her. Then I will bless her, and she shall be the mother of nations. Kings of people shall be from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? You know what? When God come and give this promise, they were already well past the age of having children. Yet God still waited. I mean, this is a large amount of time. Wasn't it 75 when he entered the promised land? That's still a long time from 75 to 100 that he's going to have to continue to wait. And now, at 90, Sarah's going to have a child. Can you imagine a 90-year-old woman carrying a child? I was doing good to carry one in my 20s. I'm just saying, natural law, I was doing good to carry them in my 20s. I can't imagine being 90 years old. And Abraham said to God, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Then God says, no, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with who? Him, Isaac, for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him. Even though Abraham messed up, God's still going to bless Ishmael, and he's going to become a nation. But God's covenant is specifically for the promised son that he told Abraham he was going to receive.
Well, Abraham there wanted God to do it through Ishmael.
Yeah.
Abraham said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live before you."
Yeah.
Uh,
But God knew.
Yeah.
God knew beforehand. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and I will multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this set time next year.
Still had to wait a year.
Still had to wait a year, but again, is it not specific? All right. Then he finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and they circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that very same day, as God had said to him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. So here is the thing. When he's doing this, he has built a relationship with God. Think of Sodom and Gomorrah. Think of all that happened with Lot. Think of the promise ever since he left Ur, coming into the promised land. All the Egyptian stuff with the Pharaoh, everything that he's went through. I think that he needed those years because he's coming out of a society where they worshiped many false gods. He had to learn who the real true God was, because if he didn't know who the true God was, he would have never served him. And you remember when God come and he sit and ate with him, and he gets up and they're fixing to go down to the cities of the plain, and he says, I know Abraham. I know he's going to lead his house in my ways. I'm paraphrasing. He knew him well enough he was going to lead his house. If he knows Abraham is going to be faithful, he's going to lead his house. What's he doing right here? He's obeying what God said. He's leading his house, not just his physical descendants, his family, his wife and all that, but his servants, all of those who come in to serve him. Because remember, he's got a lot of livestock and things. He can't take care of that all by himself. I mean, my goodness, he's 99 years old. He's going to have people that's under him to help him with things. And Ishmael, his son, was how old?
13.
Another specific detail. He's 13 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And that very same day, Abraham was circumcised and his son Ishmael. And all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with his money from him foreigner, were circumcised with him. All right, so now we're going to jump ahead. So that was 17, and now we're going to Genesis 21. Am I good with time? I know I'm going fast.
We got 10 minutes.
Okay, I know I'm going fast. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at a set time of God which had spoken. Now remember, this is well past nature's laws. This has to be something supernatural, this promised child. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, who Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And and Sarah said, God has made me laugh, and all who hear it will laugh with me. Because that's what Isaac means, is laughter. Isn't that something? All right, she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in this old age. So not only was she able to carry a child, deliver that child, now she's able to nurse that child. This is well past nature's laws. So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. If you think about it, think of Sarah as a mother. She's 90, probably 91 years old right now. She's always wanted a child. She's had to watch her maid have her husband's child. She's never been able to give him one. How precious do you think that child was to her? I mean, as a mama, whoo, Betty, yes. Yes, that child's going to be precious. Keep that in mind when Abraham's going to go try to sacrifice Isaac. What do you think is going to happen when he comes back home? And he's got to face his wife after this child. All right. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing. Y'all know what scoffing means?
Making fun of.
Yeah. Or it might be just like, you know, something like that. Scoff at something. Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son. And for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing to Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman because he is your seed. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and the skin of water, putting it on her shoulder, and he gave it and the boy to Hagar and sent her away. Then she departed and she wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. So he's about 13 years old, young teenager. And when the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. It's hot. They're out of water. She's trying to find him shade. And she went and sat down across from him at a distance of about a bow shot. For she said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. Now think of this mother. She only wants the best for her child too. She's been sent away from the home. She has her son, and she can't watch him die. She just is not going to be able to watch him die, and she knows he's going to die because they're out of water. They don't have any resources at this time. And God heard the voice of the lad, not Hagar, the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar. So he heard the lad, but he called Hagar. Why? Has he not already talked to Hagar before? When she was sent away, or when she ran away the first time? He made promises to her too, didn't he? All right. So he says, God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what ails you, Hagar? He knew her name. He knew what was wrong. Fear not, for the Lord has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and she filled the skin of water and gave the lad a drink. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. Very specific there. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Why do you think that is? Why do you think she went back to Egypt? She was an Egyptian. Why did she want to go back to Egypt to get him a bride? You think she was more comfortable there? You think she wanted to get away from Abraham's people?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Now we have that over there now.
Yeah.
I always think that too.
I mean, you know.
It shows.
Abraham.
You don't want to think one of your mistakes will turn into this.
Oh no.
No, we wouldn't want to think that. So let me give you a caution for today, because today will tell you you only live once. Make mistakes while you're young. What if one of those mistakes was this? God doesn't want us to have mistakes. That's why he gives us accounts like this, so we don't make the same mistakes. This is for us to learn from. Don't try to take things in your own hands. Don't try to rush God. Can you name any more? Be obedient, maybe.
We need to seek God in everything. That way maybe our choices will be better.
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Not
right.
maybe, but our choices will be better.
What about lead your family? All of those can apply. All right. Am I getting close to time?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I didn't pray before, so we're gonna have to pray after.
Do it.
All right. Next week we'll pick up. Again, I know this morning was fast.
It was good. It was